How does one get emotion through architecture? We kept thinking, how are we going to create moments of pause, moments of delight, surprise?
Something that is contemporary, beautiful,
harmonious and simple.
Something that would engage with the river.
Something that would really have a lasting impact for the festival and for the community.
Something that deserves to last.
And then once you've gone, you say, let's go again.
The building that was here was built around the turn of the century, and it was a dance hall. It served as, a number of different functions for social gatherings over the years. And the festival began to use it in the 1950s for Lou Applebaum's music festival, an incredibly celebratory and outstanding thing. I mean, the quality of the musicians, the singers, Billie Holiday, Duke Ellington. In addition, we also had performances here. Marcel Marceau's first North American performance was here in what was the Tom Patterson Theatre. But the facilities were, they weren't a theater. So on the one hand, you had Oscar Peterson or Glenn Gould playing, but it was really a Quonset hut that would heat up. Over the years, we began to do plays in here. And we would use it for a few months in the summer, and in the winter, we'd have to take everything out because it became a badminton court. Over time, we found that when we got this configuration that we had put in here, an elongated thrust, that it was electric. It had this dynamism to it and was very different than what we had at the Festival Theatre. We were left with a storied, inadequate building, tired. The building needed to change. The challenge was preserving what made it work.
We all have memories of shows that we've seen in that theater, of feeling so close to the action and suspending disbelief, as you should in a theater. And so we really wanted to recreate that feeling with all of the creature comforts and technical capacity of a new facility.
That was our mandate, is how do we create a space that really highlights and supports that?
We decided, let's take the leap and let's really do something of significance.
When we started this project, it was clear that we had to have excellence, and it had to be excellence at an international standard. The project involved the selection of the architect. So we prepared a list of about 125 projects, went through them, and then selected out of those 125. We got it down to 48. Then the building committee cut it in half again. We asked for submissions from those 24 firms, and I asked them specific questions. We narrowed it down to 8 firms for interviews, and then we selected 4 to do a design competition. One project stood out. It was remarkably imaginative in the way it organized the kind of functional necessities with a tremendous efficiency and elegance.
When you read a letter like Rick sent us, all about, we think architecture matters, we think architecture can propel an institution, and we think that the first building was formative in the making of the theater for its first 50 years. And we actually think this one will take us into the next 50. You're having a conversation about architecture having a meaningful and rightful place in this idea of giving form to aspiration. Architecture, yes, it has to solve for program. It has to solve for function. But it has immeasurable energy that somehow moves across from person to person, from space to person. Somehow you can lift the spirit. How does that happen? I remember vividly when I sat down, was at my dining room table, and I was thinking of the river. I said, wouldn't it be great if every room engaged with a garden as the foreground to the river? And then the idea of river plants came in. And river plants are very interesting because they grow in one direction. They grow in the direction of the river. And I felt that if we create a very grounded, very powerful shape for the theater, which is a perfect horseshoe shape. And then as a foil to that, you have this very, very sinuous, organic veil that's like a curtain itself.
And the symbolic power of that idea was at another level. It was a clear win.
When we saw the design of Siamak Hariri, I mean, he understood how this fit into the area, into the parkland. He understood how there is the relationship between the theater experience and the front of house experience. Like, he really understood our program. And I feel like the design played a role in convincing people. I mean, the beauty of the design turned staff towards the project. It turned the community towards the project. Wow. I mean, how does design do that? The front of house spaces are very inviting, just beautiful knockout views, small stages and theater lighting and screens and projectors and all that good stuff. There really is a chance for people to linger and to reflect on the productions that they're seeing in an informal way, but then also to formally gather in spaces like Lazaretus Hall and take in things like lectures and debates and film screenings and concerts and all these things that will deepen the experience of coming to a play. One of the elements that we wanted to incorporate into the design was a lounge, and the Spriet family have sponsored that lounge, and it's a place where our members and donors can gather before the show or during the intervals, and it has a beautiful view of the gardens. The architects challenged us with some very interesting finishes.
Every piece required a special attention to detail. We wanted to have a wood ceiling, but we had to make sure the acoustics were right for it. You know, we needed all the life safety. We integrated rigging and AV and sound. So there was a lot of technical challenges.
The brick came from Denmark. The glass curtain wall was a real feat. Just logistically, it was really difficult for us to figure out. I mean, each pane of glass is different.
The theater really is still the thing that I come in and it takes my breath away.
We came in with the basic configuration, but we said the theater we're not going to do without full collaboration.
We had a group of outstanding professionals here in all the different disciplines who knew what they needed, and so we made sure that this wasn't outsourced. What happens within the theater doors is something that the Stratford Festival staff brought to life. Taking the central elements of the staging, the intimacy, and the shape of the stage itself, and adding to that a trap, catwalks, and everything from air handling to sound, an ability to insulate it from the outside world, preserves the best of the past, but gives us something that is artistically much more viable. It gives a platform for innovation for the artists who are going to be working here, for the teams that are going to be working here together to create magic.
People will have particular strengths, but coming together, it's very much like an orchestra.
Ellis Dawn, the festival, and Hariri Pontarini were the three partners that came together to put this project together. You know, I can't say enough good stuff about Ellis Dawn. They really put an A+ team on this project and worked really well with the architects and with the festival's team. And of course, whenever you do a construction project, the schedule and the budget are really critical. We managed to stay on budget, and we were really doing so well on schedule until that pandemic hit. We did complete the building in the summer of 2020 and hope to officially open it in 2022.
It's all about when people come.
For many years to come, this beautiful space will be a home to the Stratford Festival of artists and to artists from across the country, to audiences from around the world, a home for the magic of theatre, and a source of strength for this very, very important Canadian institution.